Some people find out they're being cheated on in the loudest way possible: arguments, accusations, doors slammed in anger. This wasn't one of those stories. This one ended quietly. So quietly that by the time she realized what was happening, it was already over. A few years ago, a close friend of mine was living with his girlfriend in a modest apartment. It wasn't anything luxurious, but it was comfortable. The kind of place that becomes home not because of its size or location, but because of the life built inside it. They had been together long enough for routines to replace excitement. Grocery trips followed the same pattern. Dinners were eaten at the same table. Silence had become as common as conversation. From the outside, everything looked fine. But inside that apartment, something had started to crack. He noticed it slowly. Conversations felt shorter. Affection felt forced. Arguments never truly ended, they simply dissolved into quiet resentment. Even when they sat together, it felt like there was distance between them, something unseen but unmistakable. He didn't accuse her. He didn't panic. He just felt it, that subtle shift when someone begins pulling away before they actually leave. Then one evening, she told him she needed to visit her family. They lived about 600 kilometers away, and she said she'd be gone for a week. She framed it as a chance to clear her head, to get some space, to think. He didn't question it. He wanted to believe her. Maybe distance would help. Maybe things would improve when she came back. She packed lightly. Almost strangely lightly. A small bag. A few outfits. Her phone charger. She kissed him on the cheek before leaving, not lingering, not emotional, just brief and distracted. When the door closed behind her, the apartment felt different. Too quiet. Like something important had just been removed. A few days later, my friend was walking through town after work. He wasn't rushing anywhere. He was just moving, letting his thoughts wander. That's when he saw her. She was sitting on a restaurant patio, sunlight falling across her face, laughing. Not the polite laugh she'd been using lately, but a real one. The kind that comes easily, without effort. Sitting across from her was her ex. There was no confusion about what he was seeing. They weren't passing acquaintances. They weren't running into each other by chance. They were comfortable. Leaning in. Smiling in a way that spoke of familiarity and ease. It was intimacy, plain and simple. My friend didn't walk over to them. He didn't confront her or demand an explanation. He stood at a distance and watched for a moment, long enough for the truth to settle in. Then he took a few photos with his phone. Clear ones. Enough to leave no room for denial. And then he walked away. That night, he barely slept. But his thoughts were steady. Focused. Pain was there, but it didn't overwhelm him. Instead, it clarified things. He went over the details of his situation carefully. The lease was month to month and required 60 days' notice. His name was the only one on it. She was not officially listed anywhere. That detail mattered more than anything else. The next morning, he gave notice to the landlord and began looking for a new place. Quietly. Methodically. He didn't message her. He didn't demand answers. He didn't need them. The truth was already clear. When she returned from her so-called family trip, she noticed something had changed. He was still polite. Still calm. But emotionally, he was distant. Like someone who had already made peace with an ending she didn't yet know was coming. At one point, he mentioned couples therapy, not as a plea, not as a desperate attempt to fix things, but almost casually. As if acknowledging something people do when relationships are already broken. They stopped being intimate. She didn't push for it, and he didn't either. She began staying out late, sometimes not coming home at all, claiming she was spending the night with friends. Each time, he simply nodded and said okay. He didn't ask questions he already knew the answers to. Behind the scenes, everything was moving forward. The landlord turned out to be a decent man. When my friend explained the situation, he didn't pry or judge. He agreed to keep things quiet. Apartment viewings were scheduled only when she was at work or out for the evening. Boxes were ordered. Movers were booked. Dates were set. She suspected nothing. That was the part that still amazes all of us. She lived her life normally, unaware that the ground beneath her was already shifting. Moving day arrived early in the morning. The kind of early where the world feels unfinished. The movers showed up just after sunrise. Tape ripped loudly in the quiet apartment. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Furniture was wrapped and carried out piece by piece. She stepped out of the bedroom, confused, hair still messy from sleep. She asked what was going on. My friend didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult her. He laid the photos out on the table, one by one. The restaurant patio. The laughter. The man she had promised was part of her past. Her expression changed quickly. Shock gave way to anger, then embarrassment, and finally something much quieter. Understanding. Before she could say much, the landlord arrived and explained the situation plainly. She wasn't on the lease. She had until midnight to remove her belongings. New tenants were moving in soon, and anything left behind would be placed on the curb. There was no screaming. No dramatic confrontation. No tearful apology that mattered anymore. Just the slow realization that the consequences had already been set in motion. By the afternoon, the apartment was nearly empty. It turned out all the furniture belonged to my friend. The couch. The bed. The dining table where they had once shared meals. Her life there had been reduced to a pile of clothes, toiletries, and personal items stacked together in the center of the room. Before leaving for the last time, he took one final photo. Not out of cruelty. Not for revenge. Just a quiet record of the moment everything ended. Then he walked out. He didn't look back. Years later, we still talk about it. Not because of the betrayal itself, but because of how he handled it. There was no shouting. No humiliation. No loss of dignity. Just patience, clarity, and control. Sometimes, the quiet ending is the strongest one of all.